Thank you. Thank you. And so I'm James Gunaca, and I just want to start off by thanking Paul and the team for organizing. It's certainly a pleasure and honor for me to be here speaking to all of you tonight. In terms of what I'm going to talk to you about, it's going to be transitioning to leadership roles as a product manager, both what it takes, what you should think about, and then how you can approach getting it done. Quick intro on me though, as Paul said. So I'm currently a product management career coach. And what that means is I help people discover and solve problems to help them grow in their product management careers. And I also help people get better at product, something that I'm super passionate about. But why can I do that? Why am I here talking to you? Well, I've been in product and tech for over 20 years, but I've been doing product work for over 11 years. And most of that time was at Amazon, building and leading product teams that launched things like Amazon Echo, other products in that family with the Alexa AI assistant, other smart home products, digital software, services, subscriptions, other things at Amazon less interesting than that. And then recently I was leading a product team at a company called ExpressVPN here in London. I've also been coaching people and teams for over 5 years now. I've hired over 50 different product managers, senior product managers, group product managers, and other roles. I've helped promote people through these different levels after I'd kind of ascended in them on my own. I've also interviewed hundreds of people, and many of those interviews was also as what's called an interview bar raiser at Amazon, making sure that we keep the talent bar high and the interview experience is great for candidates. I screen thousands of CVs and resumes, and I also write and speak for Mind the Product, and I do other events like this. I know I see some familiar faces. Maybe you've seen these topics in the other ones. So that's me. Let's put that out of the way. Here's what I'm here to talk to you about first: product career growth paths, right? A common conception I encounter with people is that they think, okay, the only potential growth path for me is to become a people manager. And so is that true for product roles? No, it's not true for product roles. However, it's probably true for product roles in the sense that people think that that is the only way that they can go because that might be what they were told, or maybe that's just what they observe. But there are actually two different career paths you could take. So I'll talk about those. On the one hand, you've got individual contributor roles, right? This pretty much leads up to principal product manager or staff product manager. And once you've reached that level, you've got a degree of authority, autonomy, maybe even a great salary that you don't ever have to worry about getting promoted again. You've established yourself as a professional, and you can go and carry that skill over and never have to manage anybody. It's called a career level position at some companies. They might call it something else, but really it's the highest level of IC a product. And you could be doing that for 20 or 30 years if you wanted to and never have to be responsible for someone's individual growth. On the people manager side, on the other hand, you've got group product manager, head of product, maybe director of product, VP, all the way up to chief product officer. Now, not every company is going to have all of these levels, right? In some cases, it might go from a senior product manager to a head of product to CPO in just 2 stages. It really just varies by company size. But how do you make this decision? How do you sort of evaluate, is this the right path for me? Should I stay as an IC? Do I want to become a manager? And when's the right time to make that decision? Well, the good news is this isn't a one-way door decision. And so I like what Magda said earlier about, not everything is an irreversible decision. And that's certainly true of trying to become a product leader. Now, one-way door and two-way door decisions, it's a great framework for thinking through problems you have to solve or decisions you have to make. Best way I can describe it, two-way door decision, right? You take a step through a door, you learn about it, maybe it's really amazing what you experience, so you take like another small step forward. Or maybe it's horrific and you hate it and you're terrible, so you just kind of back away and exit through that door. In the context of product careers, right, a one-way door decision would be launching a new product. Once you've launched it, you can't unlaunch it, right? You've gone through that door, you can't go back. In the context of your career, quitting a job is a one-way door decision. Writing a post on LinkedIn that you later regret that gets 500,000 views is a one-way door decision, even if you delete the post. I'm not speaking from personal experience, by the way. And then in life, right, an example of a one-way door decision, having a child, right? You can't undo that. But in your career, and specifically around this decision of should I stay on the individual contributor track or should I go become a leader, it's something that you can try and experience and test and see, like, okay, is this right for me? Now, if you have to step back and go back to an individual contributor role, you're probably going to encounter what's called switching cost, right? Maybe it means you've eroded some trust at your company, or maybe you've burned some trust with your team, or maybe you failed at it, right? And so now that kind of sets you back. So something to keep in mind. Now, I also want to talk about some of the circumstances and some of the things that you should be thinking about when comparing the two. And I'm going to start with some of the things that I think are good differences, right? Certainly, as a product leader, you're now in charge of the strategy. The scope and influence of what you do is greater than you'll probably ever be able to achieve on your own as an individual contributor. The pay is also probably going to be better. But what are some of like the bad things? What are the problems people might not be thinking about? Well, although you get to kind of look beyond the individual contributor pains that you deal with, you're really just kind of trading those in for other problems, right? Maybe you're not spending all your time updating your roadmaps or attending sprint plans or doing retros, but now you're starting to resolve conflicts between teams. You're having to do talent reviews. People are coming to you with their problems because it's your job as a leader to help solve them, right? And I don't want to overlook the ugly bits, right? As a product leader, maybe you find out that you're not great at strategy. And failing at that could affect your team, it could affect the products, it could affect the business, or even the company could fail as a result, right? You could have a product manager whose product you decided to kill because it was the right thing to do. And maybe it wasn't their fault, maybe it was outside market forces. But now you got to go have that conversation with that product manager and be like, okay, sorry, bad news. How do you keep them engaged? What if there's not another role for them to do? Now what do you do, right? Say you've got a failing product and you've got a stellar product manager, and you're like, I need to put this product manager on this product that is failing. How do I inspire them to do that? How do I help keep them motivated, even though it might not be something that they want to do, right? And then you're going to encounter these people problems that matter to you and your team, but they're not going to matter to your founders or your executive team. They're going to care about solving the problems for the business. And so you'll have to manage that tension. And then it shouldn't go without saying, you're going to have to fire someone someday. And you may have to lay people off. Some people will deserve that. Some people will not. And you'll have to just reconcile with that throughout for the rest of your life. And it's going to be really tough. Okay, so let's assume you evaluated all these different criteria. And there's a lot more. Right? Obviously, I'm just giving a few examples here. But you've decided, I still think this is the right path for me. Great. How do you get it done? So this is a general guideline, I think, of things that you could be exploring if you're considering this, right? First, it's just really understanding, is there an opportunity? Go talk to your manager if you are like, I want to become a leader, but also understand that it's much more likely that you'll find your way into a leadership role at a company that you're at than moving from an IC role to another company as a manager. If you don't have that prior people management experience, you're unlikely to get that role. But, the business needs to maybe be growing. Or maybe there's a large team under your manager and they could use another people manager to help manage it. So talk to them, but make sure you explain why you want to do it, not just that you want to do it. Next, get involved with recruiting, right? Sit in on interviews for product managers. Don't stop there. Also go and sit in on help and contribute to interviews and assessing talent across design, research, marketing, engineering. Understand what it takes to make good hiring decisions and to evaluate hiring outcomes, because that will be part of your job now beyond just doing product strategy. Then practice delivering feedback. And I don't just mean like quick, pithy, like, hey, great job, but good, actionable, and constructive feedback. An example I like to give is, as a manager, you go and you tell someone like, hey, I really thought the way you answered that question from the engineering manager was really effective. And I could see that he changed his mind based on how you answered that. So take note of what you did to be prepared and try to apply that with these other leaders that maybe you're having troubles with influencing or getting them on board with what you want to do. But good, actionable, and constructive feedback can also be around what they need to work on, right? So instead of being like, hey, how'd that meeting go? You think it went okay? Kind of giving this subtle signal that maybe it didn't go well. Instead, it's like, hey, look, I understand you kind of struggle maybe with the questions you got from these engineers. And so I really think it's important that you maintain and build their trust. There's someone else in my team that you can go talk to who has a great relationship with the engineers. Try to find out what they're doing to make sure they're prepared to answer questions or try things differently, right? Giving a clear signal to them, this did not go well. Here's some things you can do that will help you improve. So really delivering feedback is important. And then finally, prepare for that transition, right? do encourage people to work with a mentor or a leader. It can be a coach, doesn't have to be, but find someone that's going to help you work through this transition that's not your manager. The reason being, you're going to fail at a lot of things because many managers and leaders learn through that failure. And by having someone other than your boss to talk to and bounce ideas off of gives you a safe space. Is that already 10 minutes? Closing thoughts. 3 closing thoughts. Right. Number 1, there's a whole lot more that I didn't talk about. This is a lightning talk, right? So make sure you explore this a lot more fully. Number 2 is you're most likely not going to have a manager who is ready and willing to invest in you to help you grow in your career, right? You're lucky if you have that, leverage it, learn from the practices of leaders that inspire you and inspire others, but reflect on the bad managers you've experienced and don't replicate what they do. Try not to do what they do. And then thirdly, before you make a decision to do it, make sure that you really care about the development of others, right? Leaders do their best work, and it's the most rewarding work when you care about someone else's growth and development so that you can celebrate in their success together. The world does not need more shitty bosses, just like we don't need more shitty products, right? So those are my closing thoughts. I invite anyone to connect with me. I'm trying to build a community of people who are either aspiring product leaders, or maybe they're early in their product leader journey, or perhaps you're looking to help other product leaders. I know there's a few in here. So would certainly welcome that. Send me a message or come talk to me after the Q&A, but thank you so much.